Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
Welcome, Auvorians. Can you see the screen? Hopefully, forexfactory.com. Welcome to the broadcast. Today's the 16th of February. My name is Steve Vetterl. I am your CMA. My job essentially is to keep you guys out of hopefully lots of risk. So the Q&A window is open. I already see a couple of questions starting to build up in the Q&A window. Before I get into sort of what's going on here, the currency markets or what have you, obviously a holiday in the U.S. banking and in market-wise doesn't always necessarily equal a holiday in Forex land, which has a tendency to trade through many holidays. And I guess that's the beauty of a market that's open 5 days a week, almost all 5 days. So let me just share. I'm gonna bring this into focus here. Can you guys see my Telegram channel now? Can you view that? So we have, and if you're not subscribed to this, let me know. We can get you guys the links. I actually dropped something in the Telegram channel that has a link to everything, which I'll show you as well. Let me double check. Looks like we're having more technical difficulties, but you guys can, yeah, actually, you know what, let me switch over. Maybe this will fix the problem. It looked like it's recording in the system. It keeps telling me it's not recording, although I didn't turn anything off. A lot of times in these corporate Zooms, things can go awry, but everything's good. You guys can see the screen. You can hear me, right? Coming along. I don't have the camera on because it wasn't showing up great. Yeah, forget it. If it doesn't record, so be it. It's going to be short and sweet today anyway. So, so Neo the Legend comes out on the 25th. Let me get that screen up. There we go. So Neo the Legend comes out on the 25th. You know, this is going to just be an additional piece for the bench. So do note that as well, as I have put in here a number of things. Upgrade to variable. Not sure if you guys saw that here. If you have variable, just make sure that note. Also, some other piece that I thought was good is this is a link to one of my favorite bloggers, Lyra Harris. You guys are really good. This one has a fairly extensive chat about the role of Jerome Powell in the Federal Reserve in terms of banking. Banking, so forth. I just think, I tell you, it's driving me nuts. It just keeps interrupting me with this Zoom thing saying it's not being recorded. This is a first. So if this doesn't record, sorry, Bill, we'll go into the back office with just me sharing a screen here. But in any case, the yeah, I can try that. Let me just double check real quick, see if I got this right. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. So let me just continue on. So this is a really good blog. Lyra is it's probably one of the more respected guys in terms of the retirees from the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. This guy's got a lot of connections to a lot of economists. He's also good friends with John Malden and Jeremy Grant, if you guys know who those names are. The other one I wanted to make note of is I put in, as you guys may see each week, forwarding the developer insights with both Variable as well as Tyler's Gearbox. These are two pieces that, if you guys want to, just additional education. I actually shot back in the fall, as some of you may recall, a podcast with Casey Stubbs. Guy's a great guy. He's a father of 9. He's a vet. lives in my home-born state of Pennsylvania. So I did a talk with him on portfolio management, diversification, as well as risk analysis. And then in addition to that, the VPS announcement. Sure, if you guys got all this straightened out, most of these problems can be fixed by just rebooting the VPS. And I think that's all I wanted to bring up. I know I posted. Oh, and then the only other thing I haven't posted yet, you can tell me. Yeah, don't worry about the recording, Alex. It's telling me it's not recording in this end, but who knows? It just could be Zoom stuff. I think the amazing thing is, I can't really complain. Zoom stock's done fantastic for all of us in terms of clients, but the fact that we've had such very little problems with the software is an absolute testament to itself. Back in the early days of WebEx and Cisco's systems and GoToMeeting, the software was absolutely just plagued with sharing problems about 5, 10, 15 years ago. In any case, Forex Factory, let's go through this real quick. I talked about this a bit on Saturday. Holidays and so forth abound. Coming into Tuesday, today, still a holiday for anything in Asia as far as China land. Now, tomorrow we have core retail and retail sales. And there's some unemployment numbers coming out of Aussie land essentially tomorrow. Retail sales in the British province, as well as the European PMI stuff coming mostly out of Germany. So we do have some events to be and take note of. You guys can tell me whether or not you want me to post this. I thought this was really good. So I've posted a lot of candlestick analysis. We've certainly talked about technical analysis of candlesticks, moving average lines, volume. I have not talked about Elliott wave, Fibonacci, or any types of, but these are areas that you can add to your arsenal of trading. I don't know that Elliott has, just the problem with Elliott is that you can always draw like a bazillion different types of diagrams to overlay on the chart. A lot of them don't play out. So I really don't, as far as students, recommend until you've become an advanced trader to look at something like this. But occasionally, if you have just a basic understanding of the patterns, they may help you in spotting something that'd be dangerous in terms of a pattern forming, what have you. So I'll post this in the Telegram window just as a side note. Let's take a look at the quick charts. You guys got some questions on actually, you know what? One of the questions I had is your last broadcast, you shared a page of various Auvoria links when it fits in your presentation. Yes. So let's do that. Let's go to the Auvoria links. And these are the social media channels and of various things. Looks like it was updated, so it's cool. So I'll post this right now. This will be posted to all attendees and panelists in the chat window. There you go. Share them with your friends, all kinds of fun stuff. Let's take a look at the markets. SPX, for those trading US equities, all-time highs. Same thing with the Dow. Let's move to the dollar. Kind of like what I thought. I've had a whole bunch of dojis play out, holding this 50 SMA line. Keep minus the daily chart. Where do I expect it to go one way or the other? I'm not really sure. Yeah, and as Mariska just pointed out, guys, please note that all these links are to be found inside the AP Academy Live. It always seems to befuddle me as to why people are always lost as to where the back office is. It's just basically you bookmark it in an Auvoria file, like I typically do, and then it's easy to go to. Just click on the bookmark. Take a look at the Euro US dollar daily chart again. Still stuck in the melees, holding the line underneath it, just like we held the line above it on the DXY. Now almost in the fifth doji that's forming. So we're going to break one way or the other. My suspicion is we break up because most people think we're going to break down. So I think that's slightly baked in, could be wrong. You could flip flop that type of prognostication on its head, and we may rip down and then rip up. Remember the market's goal, any market's goal, any types of, let's just say a developed markets with a lot of centralized or fairly concentrated execution, those types of markets goals is to suck every possible person in from a retail and institutional trader perspective, and then do the opposite, right? So you always want to be thinking counterintuitive to what's going on in the markets. Euro JBP. Now, I talked a little about this, that I thought it was going to be headed down to the next sort of area, and we're there. So this is the bottom of the pandemic for this currency pair. See this right here? We should hold this area for at least a couple of days till anything breaks one way or the other. That would be my assumption. Let's take a look at the weekly chart, see if we can derive anything outside of that. So the weeklies would certainly argue to drop down to the 8,600 area. But I think we probably will pause at what's a pretty solid area here that we spent a chunk of time in. Now, this analysis could be wrong because there's a lot of stuff developing, and hopefully it just needs to formalize. I think the problem with being an American strategist or analyst, or anybody in that role of analyzing global macro as I do, I don't get as much news out of what's going on inside the UK and the European Union as far as England's secession from the European Union. So I don't pay as much attention to that as I probably should. Let's take a look at Euro JPY. Again, same thing, strength related to Japan from the Euro perspective, breaking out above a big area. So we'll only go to the weekly chart and look for the next pocket, which isn't really that clear, quite frankly, but it's always best to just choose an area that much of the tips of these candles, at least from an upper level perspective, have touched and then pulled back. So our first level would be right in here, 31.26 area. Next level would probably be somewhere in this area, 33. So let me jump back. There's something else I wanted to address in this Euro US dollar. Take a look at the daily chart again. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to end it here, guys, because that's our corporate attorney and our corporate accountant are actually here. That we have a bunch of things to go over, and these guys can only come down and talk to me during this time. So they said they'd be here at 10:30, and they're here early, so 10 minutes early. Let me just answer this question real quick before I bolt. Let's see, Euro's starting to drop today. Will it drop furthermore? Can it go to 120 within this week? Let's see. It's possible. That would be my assumption. We'd probably go up. Actually, since these 5 days of this doji are holding, will probably drop down. So forth. Actually, you know what, you guys? I'm gonna hang here on this call with you. My wife's taking care of these guys till we get settled, so I've got another few minutes here. That would be my assumption. Since this is holding, we'll go back down and visit the 20 area before anything further. Could break down from there. That obviously would probably surprise lots of us, including yours truly, because that would mean that we've seen some real strength in the dollar, and I just don't see it right now. So let's take a look at GBP CHF. So pound Swissy, let's take a look. Always start off with the daily chart first. Ooh, look at that. See how these resistance lines have proved to be pretty decent. Now, for the first time, well, I should say, for the first time, we're above the line, and notice how the line held when we went back down. It's not the easiest to see here. Let me just drag this out. There you go. Came up to resistance, back down just a little bit, back up again, right? Closed, still under, opened above it, essentially the first test above resistance, right? It's almost like a discovery or an exploratory mission, right? You'll oftentimes see this kind of candle form. And then the whole idea is that if it opens above it, and this is the case for anything. So, let's say this is the stock of BMW, right? And it broke out above this line, regardless of where the price is, but on the higher time frame charts, daily or higher. If we'd had a sort of discovery phase above support, came back down against it and held, this is actually where the buy point is right here. Could be a longer term trade, moving up much further. And obviously there's a lot of other factors that affect these two pairs, right? And most of it is their relationships, not only with other Euro currencies, but the US dollar as well, to play into that factor. But just in a pure candle type of situation, especially over this whole period of time where we've been basing all along this, these are more predictable, more buyout type of breakouts. So let's just say the price of whatever stock came back down to this level, that's actually where the buy point is right there. It's a very low risk buy point on a longer term chart. This pattern doesn't necessarily have to, but you can see how, over a long period of time, every time we came up to this whole 2200 area, right, it reversed from this. And it isn't really necessarily the currency or, this specific pair. The idea is you just want to notice how these chart patterns always continue to play out from a formation standpoint, is that, we broke from this area, right? So the argument is, even if we had stopped and turned around and headed lower from this resistance point, we still could have gone all the way back down to this whole area, and it still would have been a breakout, right? So you can see, you can trade it to that point, and a lot of times it'll zipper to the next resistance point, then pull back and break higher. This is a pretty good teaching moment as far as patterns go on. So whoever brought the question up, thank you. All right, what else? Yeah, hang on one second, guys. Hey, do me a favor, just throw them in the conference room. I'm almost finished here. Thanks. Okay. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to address. There's gold hanging on the precipice here. I'll tell you, boy, this is just, you'd think this chart would be looking better for gold, right? So this is the GLD. You could also look at the actual US dollar spot, same thing, holding the edge. It's just, I would have thought this chart would have looked a little better. What's interesting, the dollar is trading real down low, right? From a long-term perspective, but gold just hasn't really popped up like you'd have thought. Bitcoin continuing its unabated move higher, which is never good. These patterns always need to correct. Let me see what else I want to address. I think that's pretty much it. Euro JPY, talked about that. GBP JPY. Yeah, here's the other one I wanted to mention to you guys. See how this thing's just continued to really lift out of this area. So let's move to the weekly. Let's reset the scale. See that? See, a lot of times I talk about zippers, but from a weekly perspective, see how there's almost a clean sailing, if you will, up to this next area, this whole 48, 25, 35-ish area. it's just smooth sailing. So a lot of times it'll just move right to that. And this is a weekly chart. So each of these candles represent a week. And essentially we're only 2 days into this week and we've already traveled a lot. So just let that be a lesson in moving to the next area of potential resistance from an up. And you can also reverse that upside down. All right, guys, that is it for me. Got to take advantage of 2 of our confided advisors in the room at once so I can go pound on them and tell them to keep my billing low. I'll wish everybody a good week. We'll see you guys Saturday. Do pay attention to everything going on in Telegram because there's a bunch of stuff coming down as well. And wish everybody a happy, healthy week.